I'm going to give a 30,000 foot view, so you correct me if I'm wrong. One your partner said is as you move from, let's say, Oscar into Skybridge and all the, I'd love to go through all those transitions, but we don't necessarily have time for that, is like going from fund of hedge funds 1.0 was giving access to like the SAC, the PTJs, the Tiger Cubs of the world. 2.0 was maybe going with different managers and capital allocations, but maybe it was like only a 2% allocation to each, so it was a bit of like a Moneyball scenario. And then 3.0, you guys had a little bit more viewpoints on the world, so you toggle, asset allocation buckets, based on what you're finding in the global macro environment. So it's more like playing the orchestra versus playing the instruments. And then maybe 4.0 is like you're saying your transition to crypto.
Yeah, so 4.0 is, I'm very impressed with people like Co2 and Tiger Global. And so 4.0 to me is I got to take my clients into the future. Those three versions that you just said were appropriate for those market environments and where the economy was at that moment. We're about to enter another epochal transition for the global society, and I got to get my clients ready for that. I got to coach them and get them ready for that. And so that's going to cause me to lose some clients, right? Because some clients, they listen to Warren Buffett and he says it's rat poison, so they're not going to go with you. But I know it's the right thing to do long term. And so that's I think a very important thing. If you're a money manager, you have to be a Swiss Army knife. You can't be static as a money manager. What worked in 1930 is not working in 1990, which isn't working in 2022. So you have to look at the world the way it is, not the way you want it to be or not the way you think it should be. Like, I curse a lot, but those aren't even bad words to me. What are really bad words? Ought and should. I tell my kids, don't use those words with me. Like, I ought to have gotten a 38 on the ACT. Okay, I ought to have gone to this school, or this should have happened. Life is unfair. I don't want to hear that. Okay, ought and should are the two worst words in the language. Is, that's the right word. This is how the world is, and you have to operate with the world the way it's operating. The United States is now borrowing 53 cents of every dollar that it's spending. Should that be the way it goes? Is that how we ought to do things? No, but that's how we're doing things. So now I have to prepare my clients and prepare my portfolio to embrace the reality of that world. And so this is a way more growth-oriented product. This is like a Tiger Global for the masses. It has some high gross, low net strategies in there like Point72 and guys like Dan Loeb. But I've also got Web3 stuff going on inside that portfolio, and I've got some privates in there where we own pieces of different companies like FTX and Chime and Klarna, because I know that those companies are going to take us into the future, and that's where the economic rent is going to be, and I want my clients to do well.
Part of that Web 3.0 is, like you said, like to convince clients to just get that entree point into putting part of their portfolio into Bitcoin is one thing, right? Then there's a whole other world there of different tokens, coins, and Web3. And then especially with your sons doing stuff with NFTs and artists, I'm just curious, like, because you're a networker, we talked about tribes earlier and everything. How do you think I want your personal perspective on like NFTs and creating communities and what you think about that? I know it's way past going Bitcoin for most clients, but like I'm curious of your personal beliefs on like, is NFTs a way for us to create more like-minded communities, whether it's through DAOs or just NFT projects?
Yeah, so the answer to all that is yes, and also these things are somewhat religious for people. Like people are peeing on Dogecoin and I think it's down like 80%, whatever it is. There may be a community for Dogecoin forever. Because there's just religious ferocity around these certain communities. But what I would say to you is I'm focused on use. I'm focused on, so when you tell me NFT, I say, okay, that is a way to digitize and represent in a digital form almost anything in our society. And if you can digitize something, you can liquefy something. So you're going to have art-backed securities. You're going to have used clothes-backed securities. You're going to have anything that was, when you think about the capital markets, what's liquid is probably 5% of the capital markets, right? Stocks and bonds, but the real estate market's not liquid. The art market's not really liquid. Your shoes, your used shoes are not really liquid. Sure, we can put them on eBay or the Real, but I think over time, as we're digitizing things, and we're creating a tokenization of things, we're going to liquefy a very, very broad amount of the economy. And what do we know about liquidity? With liquidity comes efficiency. So if I told you that I can delayer the economy, where I can actually trade directly with you without a third-party intermediary and all the costs associated thereof, I just created this massive amount of efficiency. So to really understand the blockchain and tokenization, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, you're now moving the world once again. You know, the best example I can give you is when I was 21, my name's Anthony. Prince Spaghetti Day was Wednesdays. Okay, so I made a deal with my mother. I was in Europe, had to call my mother on Wednesdays, Prince Spaghetti Day. So wherever the hell I was in Europe, I had to give her a call. Of course, I lied to her. I told her I didn't have venereal disease. I told her I wasn't drunk. You know, I was going to school, which of course I wasn't going to any of the classes. I mean, and so it was a good 5-minute lying session, and it cost $15. It was $3 a minute. And so you'd go to the clerk at the post office in like center of Rome. You had an American Express traveler's check. Like, you're too young to remember.
No,
right?
I had them too.
Right, so I had to sign the thing. I hand it to the guy. He converts it into lira. He gives me the card. I go into the phone booth, $15 for 5 minutes. I lie to my mother for 5 minutes, and then I hang up the phone. Wait till next Wednesday. But today, I can tap into the internet in any cafe, any place in the world. I can call my mother for no cost. So you mean to tell me American Express is going to be able to charge people 3% for the rest of time? And Visa is going to be able to do that too? The way the phone company was charging me in 1985? That's not going to happen. Okay, they're going to get bypassed because we've created something technologically known as a blockchain where I can permissionlessly send you value. You don't have to like me, know me, or trust me, but it hits your account from me. And we know that it's happened, and there's no double spend. And when Andreessen understood that, he said, my God, this is the biggest, this is bigger than the Netscape browser that I invented. And he's on, $4.5 billion fund number 2. Okay, so, and he's a hell of a lot smarter than me, but I'm not letting my client, I missed Amazon. I went to see a presentation. Bezos explained what he was doing. I said, this is brilliant. Buffett came on right after Bezos. He said, no, this is not making any money. And Sears Roebuck is a big company, and this is a tiny company, bookseller. I missed Amazon. If you put $10,000 into Amazon on May 15, 1997, it's worth $22 million today. I'm not missing this. I missed that because Buffett said, don't buy that, rat poison squared. Munger, the older brother, 97, he's saying it's the worst thing that ever happened to the civilization. Dude, we've had some Holocausts, a few genocides. This is the worst thing that ever happened to the civilization. You got to smoke some reefer, man, and just calm yourself down and study the blockchain. Because once you study it and once you get it, you have to own a piece of it.
Hey there, revolutionaries. To join a community sharing insights like you just watched, head over to realvision.com. There you will get unbiased insights and exclusive access to the very best, brightest, and biggest names in finance. Be a part of our community of lifelong learners. See you there.